Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform, the place where legacies live.
Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Lee.
And I am Julia Myers.
Yes, the co-host. And today we have two very powerful women on our platform. We hope that you came for great knowledge and information and to share any questions or information that you want to share. We have Illinois Committeewoman Latoya Greenwood. She is an East St. Louis native and former Illinois State Representative. She is running to regain her office as an Illinois State Representative for District 114. She has sponsored and co-sponsored bills on issues focused on social justice, equity, education, reproductive health, and maternal and infant mortality. Our other guest is Reverend Dr. Dietra Wise-Baker. She is the project organizer for When Black Women Lead. They want to bring together Black women in the community with Black elected officials and those who are running for office. Their goal is to create pathways for future generations of Black women leaders in Missouri, with the belief that when Black women lead, we move towards justice for all. So welcome to the platform, ladies. I look forward to hearing your information today and talking to you today. We're going to start with Reverend Dr. Dietra Wise-Baker. She's going to give us a little information about When Black Women Lead.
Awesome. Thank you both, Tiffany and Julia, for having me here tonight. And it is amazing to meet you. Sister Greenwood, always excited to meet Black women who are in political office and running for political office. And that's the heart of When Black Women Lead. When Black Women Lead is a project that we launched in Missouri about 2 years ago. And at the heart of it, Black women of faith, Black women organizers, Black women business owners, Black women who were in elected office, and Black women who want to run for elected office. Understanding for those who are in elected office that they don't always have the support they need. We know that we don't always have the infrastructure that's needed in terms of money, in terms of campaign management, in terms of legs on the ground, people to knock doors, make phone calls, right? And then the support once somebody gets in. You know, we had lots of conversations with elected officials, Black women in particular. They get in and then people sort of back off. They might get them through the door, and then there's not the same kind of support and activity, and I would say even accountability from the community once the Black women officials are in office. And so we want to create a pipeline of Black women candidates at the local and state level in Missouri, and build the infrastructure around them to get them office, keep them in office, and keep them accountable to Black women voters. The second thing I want to say specifically about Black women voters, we know that everybody wants our vote, right? Particularly in certain parties. But it's time for Black women to own our vote, right? To own what happens with the platform, to own and be able to hold accountable officials for holding up what we say we want in our communities. And the only way to do that is if Black women build the infrastructure, and we have the organization that can do that. And so When Black Women Lead in Missouri is forming. We just had, Tiffany was there, our membership drive kickoff. And the goal is real simple. There's 250,000 Black women voters in the state of Missouri. We want to build an infrastructure that can reach any of those 250,000 Black women. And in order to do that, that means we have to be able to win school board races. We have to be able to win local municipal races. We have to be able to win representative races, right? And we have to organize those voters local on the ground and then all the way up to our state level. And so When Black Women Lead has to build that infrastructure. In order to do that, we say it's real simple. We need about 5,000 Black women to become members of When Black Women Lead, annual members of When Black Women Lead. And if we do that, we will have $1 million organization. And that's what it's going to take to put in the staff that we need to build the infrastructure that is necessary to make sure that we have the kind of political power we need. And so there's a couple of things that are important to name in that political infrastructure. One of those is that A lot of Black women candidates will say, when I'm running from campaign, the data and the information is not relevant to my community. The polling, the questions that are being asked, right, are not relevant to my community. They sort of come out of a certain community, and then they're kind of cut and pasted to Black women candidates and Black women campaigns. And it's really important that we begin to develop the data resources, the campaign resources, the managers that are culturally centered and relevant to our candidates, that our candidates are being trained in ways that are relevant to our community and to our needs, right? No one's going to come and build that for us. And so she's like, yeah, no one,
they're
no
not.
one's
Nobody. No, man.
no one's going to build that for us. And I think just on the Missouri side, and Representative is getting on shortly, and I'm sure has many of these experiences. We just lost some huge races on the Missouri side, right? And so one of the things people have to understand, particularly about the Democratic Party, I would say in Missouri, I can't speak for Illinois, but in Missouri, they're not going to invest in campaigns here in the same way that they may invest in other states, because Missouri is a swing state. And so that really means that folks that are running local and statewide or running for federal level elections really have to have for real infrastructure. If somebody comes against a candidate, like what just happened with Cori Bush, if somebody comes against a candidate with lots and lots of money, the only way, the reason that the race was even as close as it was, is because there are some organizers in St. Louis that have been working a long time to build the ground game. But against that kind of money, that ground game was not enough. We need an organization that's ground game is deep, is invested and connected, and Black women have control over it when they're running.
Yes.
And so When Black Women Lead is a membership organization for Black women who want to run, who are going to run, and Black women voters in the community who understand that we have to build Black women's political power in our state. And so that's the call to action tonight, you all, is we can't, I'm excited about Kamala. I'm excited about this opportunity that's happening in our country. But what I hope that happens is that momentum drives us to build the local and state infrastructure that we need to build. While we support Kamala, let's build When Black Women Lead. Let's build the other local and state infrastructures alongside while we're building this ramp to the president. Because those 250,000 women in Missouri that you want to show up for Kamala, we need those women to show up for their school board elections. We need those women to show up for the municipal elections. We need those women to show up for federal elections. And so that's the heart of When Black Women Lead. And I think I'll stop there for
I think
more
you just made a good point, though, that I don't want to skim past really quick, because there is a lot of momentum happening here. Even in like some of my group chats, we're talking about, okay, this is great, and we're all looking forward to voting for the president. But a lot of times we don't think about the state, federal, and local races that are going to have even more repercussion for who you put in those seats, and that we should be just as excited. So I ask you, how are you guys going to get people and hold on to that momentum as an organization to keep people excited?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that's hard about politics, right?
Yeah.
People like you when you're in the news and when there's someone exciting like Kamala running, but there are state leaders who've been doing this for 10 years, been doing this for 12 years, been doing this for 15 years, right? Black women in particular who do this because they care about the community. They do this because they're not playing games. They're not even playing politics. Honestly, they're trying to ensure that our people have power and have a future. And they've made some significant sacrifices. And so our hope, like we had 2 town halls this past year, people were so excited to get to know. People honestly don't even know who their local officials are.
No.
They don't know who their state officials are. They were so surprised to see, in our case, 10 to 12 Black women on stage at the same time, and to understand the levers of power that they do have in our community. And so some of it is about political education. Some of our people just don't know like who these people are and what their levels of power are. The second is for them to be able to see that if we build an organization that builds the infrastructure, then we have more voice, we have more control. We don't have to get on Facebook and complain. We've organized the women that are going to vote, that are going to show up, right? Mm-hmm. And so to help people understand the difference between virtual power and real power, right? And what it takes to build it. And so we hope that in continuing to share the vision to reach 250,000 Black women voters in the state of Missouri, where they own the organization, they decide who they're going to endorse, they decide what the issues and the platform is going to be, they decide how to hold people accountable, that Black women, as they get more educated in our local community, they will get excited and they will stay the course to build what we need to build so that the things that have been happening don't continue to happen. And I'll say this last thing. We have a PAC. We have a political action committee. When Black Women Lead just created a political action committee. And we're one of the few membership-owned political action committees. Often political action committees are managed by, a few folks. People put the money in there and donate. And then those few, thinking heads or political folks, they control where that money is. Well, no, our PAC will be controlled by the members of When Black Women Lead. And that gives us some freedom to endorse, some freedom to invest in some infrastructure, and to have some more political activity with Black women who are running for office and Black women officials, Black women officials. And so we're excited to have created the PAC. We're excited about the work that we're doing. And we just ask you all who are under the sound of my voice, join us. It's really important work.
Well, where can they find you?
So get to us on Heartland Action. Heartland Action is a project. When Black Women Lead is a project of Heartland Action. You can find us at heartlandaction.org. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Heartland Action. And so just like us on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll get our posts, and you can go on our page and you can become a member. Click on become a member. And even if you're not in Missouri, but you understand what we're trying to build, you can become a member and support what we're building here in Missouri. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.
Awesome. I think one of the greatest things, unique situations here, our audience, Tiffany and I are going to be in that Missouri area. If you are towards the northern part of Illinois, you may not know this, but the only thing that separates Illinois and Missouri is going to be the Mississippi River. So right across the water, I would say in the Belleville, Cahokia area, we have Latoya Greenwood, who is one of those Black women that are leading in politics. She is currently running for the Illinois State Rep position in District 114, which is going to be your Belleville, your Cahokia, your East St. Louis. So she is actually a woman who is leading. And if you're listening to this, this is an opportunity for you to get to know someone in your area who is representing you in politics. Thank you so much for having us, Latoya Greenwood. We can't wait to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tiffany and Julia. And thank you so much, Dr. Wise-Baker, because what you just said was so important about energy. That's what I got from your passion when speaking. We have to energize people. Yeah. And the best people to energize are Black women. And you talked very, very clear about things that needed to be done, even in this race, my race, Illinois, future races. Grassroots organization is the only way that we can get this done successfully. When we're talking about down ballot elections, other than presidential election years, we have to remain engaged. And the way we do that is through infrastructure. So everything that you guys are doing and building, that is the only way that Black women will be successful in obtaining elected offices. So I look forward to y'all coming on over to the ill side. Is that what they say?
That's what we say, the ill side.
Right, over to the ill side. But thank y'all so much. I'm former state rep running for my representative seat again. I'm also former East St. Louis council member. And so my whole passion about being a public servant is about equity, access, and opportunity, and creating those things. Because I'm born and raised in East St. Louis, because we are surrounded in some of the poorest zip codes in our state, I know how important it is to make sure that we are doing those resources and information. Like you talked to again, Dr. Wise-Baker, information is so important to the residents of underserved communities and for them to be able to access resources. So, and fill in those gaps. We have gaps in education, gaps in healthcare access, gaps in food insecurity, just all of those things. And the only way we can lean into that and know exactly what that means and what that feels like is to include Black women and have them have a seat at that table in voicing what the concerns are in not only East St. Louis, but the surrounding communities in both Illinois and Missouri. So, you know, I look forward to continuing all of these conversations. We have to talk about voter engagement. Over here in Illinois, we have early voting that's going to start September 26th, and making sure that we are excited. That was when Dr. Wise-Baker came on, that's the energy we need as we move into we got an upcoming DNC next week.
Yep,
As we
in
move
Chicago.
into, yes, supporting Kamala, but not only Kamala, everybody, the whole ticket, all the way down. All elections are local. So those are the most impactful. That's what you feel. The school board, like Dr. Wise-Baker said, very important. City council races, alderman races, all races are important. And we have to remain vigilant in going to the ballot, voting on each and every election and making our voices heard and being active candidates. Get involved. You got library boards, you have park districts, you have so many ways that you can become involved in your community. And sometimes it's just so unfortunate. We have people that we may all know, Tiffany, that move out of East St. Louis and you move to another outer area, Swansea, wherever you move, and then they just lose engagement. They may not even know who their mayor is. But those are the things we need you to remain engaged no matter where you are and get active and make your voices heard. We have a long history of that as Black women. And so we have to continue that tradition and lift up others as we go.
I agree. And I want to say something because I know that Dr. Wise-Baker, what she was saying was, you know, we lost the race here in Missouri. There were stark differences between Wesley Bell and Cori Bush here in Missouri. Now, Committeewoman Latoya Greenwood, what are the differences between you and the candidate that you're running against?
Well, I'm a Democratic candidate, and my opponent is Republican. The current incumbent is Republican. And as many of you know, this seat, the 114th district seat, has long been a Democratic held seat. And not that it's entitlement, but it is about representing people to the fullest of your ability and knowing who your community and your constituents are. Like I said, you know, I'm very proud of my legislative record in terms of investments, in terms of policies that I've made, and voting for a budget. And you know, prior to when I first was elected, we had a Republican governor who we went 700 and some odd days without a budget. And social service agencies, education systems were falling apart. And then we elected JB. And since he's been elected as our governor, we've had 6 balanced budgets. And I was fortunate enough to vote in an affirmative on 4 of those budgets. And unfortunately, the incumbent has not voted in the affirmative on any budget since he's been in office. And so what that means to me is that it impacts the least of those amongst us. When you are not voting for a budget, what are you really saying? Are you voting against education? Are you voting against public safety resources? Are you voting against our elderly and seniors, our military, our veterans? Everything is wrapped up in the budget. You can vote on a piece of legislation, but to implement it, it takes money, and the funding is in the budget. So if you're not completely doing the work from beginning to end, we in the 114th district, we have too much that we need assistance with. And it's just unacceptable to have a person like that in office right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know that when you were in office, one of the things that I enjoyed seeing was just your work in the community. And I know that you helped to get funding for House of Miles, East St. Louis, and Catherine Dunham House. I mean, these are legacy places in East St. Louis that often lack funding, can't, get monies from grants and so forth. So the fact that we have a legislator that comes in that is actually looking at what the community needs and is investing in that is important. And then also, the broad view, which we had Yafet El Amin on before, and she was talking about the broad view redevelopment that she is doing, which is, she says, it should be done by the beginning of next year. Yeah. And so as the state rep, Latoya Greenwood, she was able to secure funding to fill a gap there. It was like a $3 million gap.
It was. I remember her talking about that on the. So this is Latoya Greenwood that helped. Oh wow!
Exactly.
Full circle. And we had Lauren Parks from the Miles House on the show too. And she talked about how she was able to save that because of funding and money. So just being able to see your work before even meeting you is amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. And now it just seems like some of the projects that were funded are now having the ribbon cutting ceremonies and things like that. And I'm just overjoyed to see it because now the community gets to see. We secured funding for building a new state police in East St. Louis over in the Jackie Joyner Kersey over in that area. So we're just waiting to do a groundbreaking or a ribbon cutting or something on that once they start, releasing the funds. So it's just so much that we can talk about. And I just feel like I've been very blessed to be able to sit in that seat and be able to provide for the community that has given to me and poured into me.
Yeah, because sometimes I know, I think I always like to study social media. I feel like it's the best playground for research. When you understand marketing, like you used to have to go out and spend lots of money to understand what people were thinking. But now it just takes a little bit of time to read through comments. And one of the biggest things that I'm hearing from people from reading those comments is they just want to understand who is looking out for them once that vote comes, right? They want to say, you guys certain parties have always had our vote, but like, are they standing up for us? Are they not forgetting us when they get to the table and do those things? So I think reminding voters, like, this is what we're doing. These are some of the projects that are coming up. This is where your vote goes to, it kind of keeps that energy going that we're looking for, and they can actually see and connect the dots of, oh, my vote really got this. And this person didn't forget about me once they got to the table.
Yeah. And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's very important. I had talked about, it's so many lessons in loss. And I've learned a tremendous amount due through reflection.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that's one of the things that I've learned, that personal connection and that personal touch. I have always been kind of a behind the scenes and just doing the work, making sure things are going where they need to be going. But like you just said, people, they want to see you. They want you to tell them face to face, what is it you're doing and how will it impact me personally? So that's one of the very important lessons that I've learned. And I'm going to take that with me throughout, no matter where I go, just building on those personal connections and making sure people feel you. They need to
They
feel you.
do. And that's why I think
Yeah.
of the energy again, because we're talking about energy is life, right?
Mhm.
And knowing your story and giving your story to the people through the word of mouth, through touch, and being in their presence is how you transfer that work that you're doing. It's not that you were never doing the work. It's just
Mhm.
that sometimes people are introverts or they just want to get the job done. But
Mhm.
it's when you're in those kind of titles and
Yeah.
places, you got to kind of learn to do both, right? So people,
Balance.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Balance.
bring Dr. Dietra Wise-Baker back into this conversation because I remember I had some things to comment on when she was speaking earlier, but I wanted Committee Woman Latoya Greenwood to get in to speak. But essentially, I know one of the things that she was talking about, Julia said, well, you're on social media, you can see what people, want or whatever. And it's a good and a bad to social media. I remember during the uprisings in 2020, and there was actually like a study being conducted, like, did people think that they were actually activists because they were going on social media and making statements on social media, right? Does that make you an activist?
Yeah,
And
I
so
don't know
what
about
we're to
that
say
now.
is that it does not. And I think that's what
Bad.
Reverend Dr. Wise Baker was saying. Essentially, it's great. We can only have representatives like Latoya Greenwood if we actually do something to get those people. So a vote, we need the vote, but we also need other resources to get those people into office. So it's wonderful. Yes, Black women, we are like the highest voting population. So yes, go vote. But before you vote, what else are you willing to do to get these people into office, right? To make a real difference in the community. And it's more than, even though we on Facebook right now, it's more than getting on Facebook. It's volunteering, because I know Dr. Baker was saying, we need door knockers. And before we got on here, Committee Woman Latoya Greenwood was saying she's knocking on doors. She's
Yes, she
actually
did.
going to
Yep.
people's
Knocking
doors
on the
and
door.
knocking on the doors. So we need some folks too in East St. Louis, Illinois, all around this area. If you want to see Latoya Greenwood back in office, if you want to see Black women back in office, we need you to start volunteering. Okay.
I
You
agree.
want to say something? Yeah.
I never even thought how powerful that was, but in Chicago, because that's where I am now, aldermen have a lot of power in Chicago, right? And our alderman knocked on my door. Like, he knocked on my door, he introduced himself, he actually lives in front of me. But I said, I finally have a face. Like, this is the so when it was so easy for me to vote for him because he came and had a conversation with me. And I'm looking at this ballot, I know nobody else on here. So I only know the person that was at my door telling me what he was going to do for me in my home where I pay taxes. So he got my vote. So the power of grassroots door knocking is very powerful.
Yes, and that's what I've been hearing at the door. They're like, "Oh, Latoya, it's so nice to put a face with a name. Like,
Yep.
we know the name, but we wanted to see you. It's so nice to see you." And they have said some of the same remarks you just said, Julia. They've never met another elected official in some cases. And so this whole process has been very eye-opening. And I feel blessed to be going through it right now. So just those connections, very important. Yeah.
You want to add to that, Dr. Wise-Baker?
Yeah, I just think this is critical. You know, we were talking about, you all were saying you were having a conversation about voter engagement. And what we, you know, we've known for a long time, you know, it's one thing to get people to the polls. Like that's one thing, you know, but when they get there, do they know, you know, do they know the judges on there? Do they
Nope.
know all the officials on there? Do they know all the elections on there? Did they look at their sample ballot? Did they go do their research? Do they know how? Do they know where? You know, are they engaged relationships? You know, do they have to depend on somebody's endorsement that they don't have a relationship with to figure out who they're going to vote for? Right? These are, you know, these are the details that we have to get into. In order to elect folks, you know, we have to door knock, and you know, we know as organizers, you know, it's 3 times at least, and that's for a high propensity voter. That's how many times you got to knock on a high propensity voter's door, right? What are people that are not on your side and people that are against you? Like, what does it
Right.
take
How many
to
times you
move
got to knock
them,
on their
right?
door?
It's not 3 door knocks, right?
Right.
And so, and it's also texting, it's also phone banking, right? It's also doing that political education. This is long-term, long-haul engagement of a voter base, right? That's what we're talking about building, not just a presidential election cycle, right? All cycles. So people even know the cycle. This is when people go run for office for school board. This is when your alder people are up, you know, it's this time and the next time it's these people. And then understanding the strategy, right? One of the things we're talking about and when Black women lead is, you know, we want to build enough power that we say, hey, sis, maybe you don't run this time. Or we as Black women don't divide our power, right? Let's look at the map. Let's see all the places we can run. Let's be strategic. Let's see how many sisters we got last time, how many we can move. You go here because we read the polling or we know the community and you're a better match for here and you're a better match for there. That's where we got to get to this thing. You know, that's the level of detail and strategy that we have to get, and then have the ground game to support it and build it so that no one can come in here and dump any money and win something in our community. No, if you don't have the relationships, if you haven't done the work, you haven't built the infrastructure, we're going to send you home, and they know that, and they won't even come and mess with us.
Oh, like a Josh Hawley.
Yeah, but you know, people can get mad, right? But we have to build the infrastructure that's going to beat him.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And also informing people on their rights to vote. In Illinois, we have some of the most liberal laws in terms of voting access. So making sure that we're doing those PSAs, or when I'm at the door, making sure they know the many ways that they can vote. You can even register and vote on election day in Illinois. So there should be no excuse.
It's not the same in Missouri, huh?
There's reasons for that, right?
Illinois, we have it. I mean, you can vote early. You can vote by mail.
Vote the same day.
You can register and vote the same day.
Wow.
We, in some cases, we still have curbside voting for people that's not that mobile. And so we have to be clear on how you can access the ballot, the many ways, and do those PSAs to keep informing and keep pushing the message.
And I want to add on there, because you were just talking about people that don't know, you know, one of the other parts of the work that we do is organizing formerly incarcerated people who have felony convictions, who, it depends on the state you're in about, you know, your right to vote, but a lot of people don't even know that, hey, I can vote once I'm off probation and parole. Some people think, you know, once I've, you know, have a conviction, it's over with. And so this is just another example of the kind of details of education, political education, that need to happen in our community so that we get everybody that has a voice, that they have a vote. And of course, the process of restoring those rights when they've been taken away in different states. So, and then of course, this access, you know, we're not Illinois, right? And so there we have a fight that we have to do around the kinds of access to voting, right, that are restricted here, that impact, you know, who can vote and how.
Can you give us some of the like when do you have to be registered by in the state of Missouri? Because we have elections coming up, right? So when do you have
Yeah,
to
let
be
me bring up
registered
the slide. Give me a
Okay.
second. Keep talking. Let me
Okay.
bring up the slide so I don't
Okay.
misquote anything, but I do
Yeah.
have it. So just give me
Okay,
1
great.
minute.
I think that that's so important because you do have states like the state of Illinois who that have always been about, in some ways, okay, not every state is it, but giving people access to their rights, right? And then you have states like Missouri and Georgia, who have always been an impediment to people of different races when it comes to certain rights, right? And now it's voting. I know in the state of Missouri, it was recently passed that you have to have a driver's license. And oftentimes, and I'm not that educated to speak on it, but a lot of people would say, oh, well, I mean, it's just a driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license, it's like, and that's what I say. People don't necessarily, you get so caught up in where you are and what you have and what your friends have that you don't even understand. People are homeless.
I was just gonna say, some people don't even have checking accounts, like just different stuff, because you get in your bubble and you think everybody lives like that. But a driver's license could be a really big thing that could keep a person from voting.
Keep a person from voting. And you need, and it's like, I'm a citizen here. I should be able to vote, but there are these things that are put in place that are attempts to stop you from voting. And that's why it's important to vote.
That's
There's
what I
so
was
many
just
people
gonna
that
say.
get out there and say, oh, my vote don't count. Voting is not important. Believe me, all of these things trying to stop you from voting wouldn't be in place if your vote didn't count or matter. So were you able to pull it up?
Yes.
Okay.
So October 9th is the last day to register to vote in Missouri. October 22nd is the first day of no excuse absentee voting. And October 23rd is the last day to request a mail ballot to vote in Missouri. Just, FYI, things that are on the ballot, of course, there'll be the president, statewide, all the statewide elected positions, except for the auditor. We'll have the United States Senate race, the United States House of Representatives, the Missouri State House of Representative seats, odd numbered districts in the state of Missouri in the Senate. And then there are 4 ballot initiatives this year. The Healthy Families Minimum Wage ballot initiative, which is really important. Abortion will be on the ballot in Missouri. Very important, so we can stop having to drive over to Illinois to have healthy reproductive care. Sports betting and ranked choice voting will also be ballot initiatives this year in November.
And and it's important. I know that probably most of the people that are listening are pro-choice, right? But it's a certain group of Black that are conservative, who are, they don't necessarily believe in the right to choose. But what we need to realize is that these abortion laws go beyond abortion, right? There are now women who are almost dying because they are having miscarriages.
Yes.
And the hospitals can't even treat them.
And doctors are sitting there.
They're sending them home.
Yes, and they are like, I can't believe.
Because they can't stop the pregnancy that might actually kill
them.
Okay. So this is important no matter what side you're on as a conservative Black woman. This issue goes far beyond just whether or not you have the right to choose to abort a child. So it is intricate to our women's health rights that we keep trying to fight for. We know that Black women are more likely to die in pregnancy and childbirth. So these laws being put in place just further cause us to not be able to receive the services that we need. So,
and it's to me, it's all about reproductive health care, access to reproductive health care. And all of that is encompassed in reproductive health care. And like you said, Black women are dying. In most cases, they are preventable deaths. And so those are the things that we need to be focusing on. Why is that happening?
And
what
that's
can
at every tax bracket, because sometimes people be like, oh, well,
exactly.
I have money, I don't have to worry about that. I got the no, we seen Serena. We've heard the stories from people with millions and millions of dollars. This is not,
Beyonce.
this ain't got nothing to do with class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. They've all experienced some kind of preventable um something that crisis that happened during their pregnancy.
Wait a minute, my
And,
ears perked up when you said Beyonce now.
yeah, she had an issue as well.
Yeah,
Really?
I
Oh
think
my
she did
goodness.
share that. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so the voice of a Black woman during a critical moment, oftentimes what we found out is not being heard.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if Serena and Beyonce not being heard, you can imagine what an individual that's on Medicaid or any person is definitely not going to be heard or listened to during that process, which is unfortunate. And so those are the issues that we should be talking about. And when we're talking about not just abortion, but IVF and this Black maternal and Black infant mortality, all of that is encompassed in reproductive health care.
You guys, look, this conversation has been so great. We're already at 7:46. I didn't even realize it. Wow. It is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I do want to ask, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Dr. Wise-Baker, but I wanted to just ask you because we were talking before we got on about Georgia and how Stacey Abrams and all of the people there got together basically to try to change that state and how red it was. And so is that something like what Black Women Lead hopes to do in the state of Missouri?
Yeah, it's similar. Stacey lost, and she created an organization to build the voter power and infrastructure, particularly around voter suppression and the tactics that were being used in Georgia to specifically aim the strategies and the mission of that organization to fight against those. But the second half of that was to increase the active voter rolls right in Georgia, so that she, presuming she's going to run again, has now more of an infrastructure to have more of a fighting chance, right? So similar but different tactics.
Okay, great.
A wider voter base.
I think that one of the things when you came on and everybody was talking about your energy, and your energy is very contagious, right? And here's the thing, like people love to join a wave, right? So it's great to come in with this energy and everything. People love to join a wave. But I'm here to tell you, we are the wave, okay? You make the wave, you create the wave. So don't just join the wave, be the wave. Come on, people. We need to get out. We need to support organizations like When Black Women Lead. We need to also support Latoya Greenwood, get her back in office so she could continue to do the things that she is doing for our community. So I just wanted to add that. Do we have any questions? Julia, have any questions showed up on your feed?
I do not have any questions, just a hi, beautiful Black women.
Okay. All right. So before I close out, I just want to ask you beautiful Black women, as they say, if first I'll go to Dr. Wise-Baker to see if you want to say anything to close out, and then I will come to Committeewoman Latoya Greenwood. So you have the floor.
I don't have much. Just again, support building infrastructure of Black women voters, Black women who are running for office, and Black women elected officials. No one's coming to save us, y'all. We got to save ourselves.
Ain't got to my door yet.
We got to put in the work, and it's long haul, long-term work. We got to put it in every year, every election. And so just encouraging us to get engaged, stay engaged, so that our voice is our power and our platform.
Amen. Thank you. And Committeewoman Latoya Greenwood.
Well, I just want to go back to this quote I read. When Black women support other Black women, amazing things happen. And so we have to understand that totally in its entirety. We cannot continue to be successful without other Black women. We cannot continue to move forward without pulling other Black women up to either lift us up or to lift them up in the process as well. And so I have enjoyed this conversation. I love the energy because I'm ready to be excited. And I hope everybody else gets excited because we have less than, I know, 90 days until November 5th. And so let's just get out and be impactful. And let's make a difference as we move to November 5th and beyond. Let's keep going, rising to the top.
Okay. All right, thank you. Julia, do you want to add anything before I close?
Not a lot, just thank you, ladies, for serving our population. Thank you for being a voice and a light in a space where we aren't often seen. So I appreciate that.
Okay, and thank you all for joining us, and we hope that this program was informative to you. We also want you to get involved, people. This is the Black Boss Lady Platform podcast. Our overall goal is to feature women's journey to success. We're also offering these informationals. Our goal is to help other Black women on their journey to success. So if you want to catch any of our shows, catch us on YouTube at the BBL platform and also on your podcast, wherever you find them. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on the BBL Platform podcast, the place where legacies live. We hope you will join us on our next inspirational journey to success. Be sure to rate, like, and subscribe to our show. For more information, please visit our website at theBBLplatform.com.